Hello and welcome everyone to Copy and Paste, the clean and family-friendly Reddit reading podcast. This is the 4th episode of one of my personal favorites, r/AskReddit. Why ask an expert? We have Redditors. Please don't forget to leave a comment or send me an audio message if you want to recommend another subreddit. And don't forget the usernames for all posts will be in the description. As always, thank you for joining me. Okay, let's get started. Our first post is made by user /LiterallyEkam. And the question is, what's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a friend's house that they thought was normal? First reply is made by user /FerrariGuy1970. I had a friend in high school. We're still friends today actually. His mom was a hoarder. There were little pathways throughout the house, but it was filled, from floor to ceiling, with junk. In the hallway to the bedrooms, she had stacked every newspaper she ever got. They were tied up in bundles. When you walked in that hallway, he would caution you to not touch the papers, because if a row fell, it would take a couple of hours to dig yourself out. And the second reply is made by user /academicbar9792. Here's an I was that family story. My godmother, who's practically an aunt, ran a fairly successful daycare out of our home in the 90s. She was a first-generation immigrant to the US, whose parents came to the New England area from Ireland. My two younger brothers and I spent a lot of time at our home, and I was generally the oldest child there. When I was about 8 years old, she started to have me make her favorite drink, gin and tonic. She drank these all day while running her home daycare. At age 8, I knew how to mix cocktails. That fork were better for stirring than spoons, and that large plastic bottles of gin were cheap and low quality. This went on for years, on pretty much a daily basis, until my family moved out west. My godmother kept her daycare running until she died. I'm sure of health problems relating to alcohol. I was 15 when she passed, and I'm in my 30s now. I honestly went most of my life thinking nothing of it until I became a father a couple of years ago, at which point I was like, how the hell did anyone let her have a daycare? Side note, I drink but would never consider myself an average drinker, if not below average. With that being said, I could never stomach the thought of gin and didn't try gin until I was 30. This was because I once licked my finger early in my daycare bartending career, after a couple of drops of gin splashed on my hand as I was pouring. That plastic half-gallon quality gin was the worst thing I've ever had in my life, and I had no idea how my godmother liked it so much. Complete ruined my taste for gin. At the age of 8. And the third reply by Skeeve Jobs. They let the dogs and cats into the basement to go to the bathroom, even though they had a fenced-in backyard. The whole house smelled, even the kids when they went to school. And a fourth reply by RMystic8175. My family were very comfortable, and my mom always babysat lots of kids from around the neighborhood. Basically, her place was just where the kids hang out. Once there was an emergency with my dad, and my mom really needed somebody to watch me overnight, and I wound up with one of the families that she babysat for. They were really nice people, and I was close friends with their kids, obviously because they were at my house every day. It was a new experience though. This was the first time I'd ever seen people living in real poverty. I was kind about it, I didn't say anything, but parts of it were a real shock to me. The toilet didn't work, but they had just continued to use it to the point that it was piled up to the seat. Ugh. We had to unscrew the light bulb to turn off the lights because the switch would shock you if you touched it. I felt really bad for them. It was just a real eye-opener for me as a kid, and it gave me a much better understanding of exactly why my mom babysat and fed all those kids. May I just say, that mom is a saint. And the fifth reply by Shinzo19. When I was younger, I was best friends with two brothers from Jamaica. One of the days, they asked me to stay over so we could play some Atari after we finished playing outside. We came off 12 minutes after their curfew, so their dad, who was extremely calm, told us to sit in the living room. I sat in there with my two friends, and they were super quiet, which was a bit weird until their dad walked in with a belt and beat the living hell out of them. I crapped myself, not literally, because I thought I was in for a beating, but he didn't hit me, which was a huge relief. After the beating, their dad, asked if I would like some carrot juice, while my friends just went back to normal and set up their Atari like nothing happened. I was sat on the sofa, wondering what the hell just went on. And the next reply by Small Blue Turtle. My girlfriend and her little brother were staying at a sort of foster home that was absolutely filthy. They knew it was, but weren't going to complain about it since it was still better than the last situation. But the parents there had two little boys of their own, and it's their normal. I feel bad that those boys will either realize their home is disgusting and never invite anyone over, or have someone over who then embarrasses them, or doesn't want to be their friend anymore because of it. And the next reply by KB1878, saw my friend spit in her house, straight onto the carpet. I didn't go back. The next post by Nice Interactions 5177, not at my friend's house, but we were 15 years old and went for a walk to our mum's friend's house to get her some smokes. We walked into the house and the 2-year-old was covering themselves in margarine. The floor was covered in roaches, animal poop, used nappies, diapers, and rubbish. There was peanut butter on the walls and kitchen table. It was so incredibly sad to see dirty and deviled kids in that. The weirdest part was seeing the toddlers wearing margarine in their hair and no one caring. The rest was disgusting, but I'd seen that kind of living before. Never the complete indifference towards a baby though. It's just awful. And now, the final post, one of my favorite posts to date, by user/SmaccDonalds. And the question is, your username is now a store. What do you sell? The human taco replies, oh no. A wild homo sapien replies, free range people. And then not yet a serial killer replies to that, I sell alibis. Let's team up. Two fish replies, two fish. It is not a very successful store. I bloody love Cheez-Its replies, well, one thing and one thing only. Half mayonnaise replies, well, I've got 50% of it figured out so far. Where did I put my hammer replies, replacement tools. No tomatoes allowed replies, not tomatoes. That's for damn sure. Hired goon replies, goons. Hired goons. Egg phobia replies, certainly not eggs. Get away from my swamp replies, fences. Masculine gene replies, very manly pants. And then Mega Shots replies, let's collab. And that, my friends, is the reason why I love AskReddit. Unfortunately, that was it for today. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would greatly appreciate you to like and subscribe. To listen to this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on multiple platforms, or to visit any of my socials, click the link in the description. And please feel free to send me an audio message or leave a comment. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye.